What inspired you to become a teacher?
In high school, I had many very close teachers that pushed me into this field.
I didn't initially think I wanted to be a teacher. I was a social worker. I actually got my degree in psychology and social work.
I always liked education. I was always that kid that, like, when someone's like, do you want to help grade test? I always I just enjoyed school.
I used to do programs through the retail store I worked in that involved working with school groups, and I found that I really enjoyed it. And it was my wife that realized by my interactions with young people that I would make a great teacher.
I worked in 2 nursing homes, and then I had my children, and I took off some time to be with them. And then when I decided it was time for me to go back to school, I said to myself, I don't know if I really want to go back to the nursing home.
I wanted to just have an environment where people like to go to, because I know, like, in my school years, I had some teachers that did not make things enjoyable, and I was kind of like that shy kid in middle school, and I'd have teachers that would judge me because my brothers were not maybe the brightest, and I remember feeling that way. And as I got into high school and I got teachers that kind of got me, I remembered wanting to be kind of like that and try and be that person for other kids.
I had never gone to college out of high school. I was 20 years out of high school when I went to college. Started at the community college level, graduated from there, moved on to William Patterson, just up the road, graduated from there, got my master's degree from Ramapo.
Also, I was lucky to have teachers in elementary school, not so much middle school, which is ironic because that's where I ended up, but definitely in high school. I had some very influential teachers who, unfortunately, 2 of them have passed away, but one of them I'm still very close to, and I still talk on a semi-regular basis, and I ask her for advice and on a lot of things.
How did you end up at Schuyler?
Ooh, destinies. I would say it's destiny.
They hired me. And my husband went here. So he was a proponent. He really wanted me to teach here, and it was one of 2 job offers, and it was the closest. So yeah, I'm in Wayne.
I started social studies. I had a practicum here with Mr. Prale, who is a phenomenal human being, probably the best human being that I know. And then, I was here every Friday. That was in, I would say, 97. And then when it came time to get student teaching, you're never supposed to be in the same place twice. But for some reason, I was put with Mr. Prale again, and I didn't want to say anything because I thought he was great.
I was transferred, actually. I started in Wayne at Anthony Wayne as a long-term replacement in 8th grade, language arts. And then the teacher that I was replacing was coming back, and there was a position over here, so they transferred me over here.
I ended up here through just the freak accident of, at William Patterson, they had job fairs, and I interviewed at a number of schools, and this is the school that hired me.
So I did my student teaching here in 98. I graduated. I worked at a school for autistic children from September to December, and sometime in the end of October, I had an interview for here, and it was super nerve-wracking because the way Wayne likes to interview, it's like a panel of 7 or 8 people, but I guess I left a good impression when I did my student teaching, and they got me here, and I've been here ever since.
Why did you choose to teach your subject?
Because I'm a science geek. Science is the best subject there is. Science explains so much about everything we need to know about the world around us. How things work, why things happen, what makes the world tick.
I chose language arts because I'm good at it.
Because I can't sing. No, I'm just kidding. Because when I was in college, I was originally a theater arts production major, and I wanted to go back to where I went to high school and take over the theater arts drama department. Didn't work out.
It's interesting because, like I said, I started as a social studies teacher, and actually in college, I'm going to say, maybe I was a little bit lazier. I like both history and math.
I could never be a math teacher. Every student that's ever had me knows if they had me in study hall or asked me any questions in homeroom, I would point them to someone else. It was never me.
So my advisor at school said, why don't you switch over to English as your major, make theater arts your minor, and you could always pick up theater classes and do the productions in that case. So it kind of stemmed from there.
I had gotten to my second or third course in math, and it was the statistics teacher at William Patterson. I couldn't understand it.
Not a social studies person because I can't retain dates, and science just doesn't do anything for me. So language arts, I love the written language, and I love, again, every student that knows me knows I love to read. If you look at my classroom, you'll know that right away.
After teaching probably about 7-8 years of social studies, I used to cover like Miss Batt's class and Miss Cook's class and other math teachers, and I realized I really liked math. So then I went back and got certified in math, and when Miss Cook had retired, I had taken her place on the 6th grade white team at the time, and then the following year they moved me up to 8th grade, and I gotta say, like all teachers, every once in a while, I feel like need that change. People think it's a little drastic to go from social studies to math, but this is my 7th year teaching math, and I absolutely love it, and I'm so glad that I made the change.
Do you feel like being a teacher is a good job?
Teaching is not for everyone. You have to have a certain type of personality. You have to be compassionate, but firm. You just have to have a different mindset.
I would say 90% yes, 10% it could be very stressful and it could be a headache.
Absolutely. I mean, there is a lot. It has changed a lot in the 20 years that I have been here, and there is a lot of pressure on testing and the way that kids are, I'm not saying raised, the environments that they're in have changed.
No. What? I feel like teaching is the best job. I have the best job on the planet. I absolutely love what I do. I have a great time every day because I get to spend my day with fabulous young people who have amazing insights, and I like to think that I learn as much from them every day as hopefully they learn from me.
But that 10% doesn't include the students in any way, shape, or form. It's all the business end of things and the politicalness that comes into it that kind of stresses people out.
When I first started, I didn't even have a cell phone. Nobody had cell phones, and it was completely different. And now I went from, having like no technology to using Google Classroom and making videos.
You have to understand that everyone is different, and you really need to focus on each individual student and give them what they need. And that oftentimes is very difficult.
But at the end of the day, I always remember what Mr. Prale used to tell me, and he used to say, you're very lucky to just experience and see the growth of a child, even if it's just for 1 year, that you've given a part of yourself to help that child grow, and you should just be thankful every day you work.
If you could take one field trip to anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
With students or me by myself?
There's so many places. I have no idea. I could never pinpoint one place. I really can't. I don't know. There's so much of the United States I still haven't seen that I would love to see.
Oh my God. That is quick. Where would I go? Oh my God. I feel like I want to go tropical. I enjoy the beach. I enjoy just not really doing, I enjoy not doing much. Yeah, I enjoy not doing much, though I guess I would like to go sightseeing.
I would probably want to go down to NASA and watch as they work on and assemble some of the rockets they launch,
I would like to take students to London and kind of go through Shakespeare and look at the Globe Theatre and look at kind of where the English language kind of began and where we are and where we come from. Kind of go back to the beginning.
I've never been inside the Grand Canyon. I've never been to Yosemite. But I've never been to France. So I don't know. That's too hard.
When I was young, I wanted to be an astronaut. In those days, there was no such thing as LASIK surgery. So my goals to be a Navy pilot and move on into astronaut training were shorted by the need for glasses. And by the time LASIK surgery came around, that could no longer be possible.
Maybe Sicily, only because I'm from, my family's from Sicily. I'd like to go to where my mom grew up. See the town that she grew up in. I mean, she grew up in a little hut with dirt floors, so I would love to see where she's from. I guess that would be the first place I would go.
I said that was the final question.
Okay.
I kinda
You lied.
a little bit.
Go ahead, Dylan.
Master of suspense.
A surprise. Oh God, I hope so.
Mrs. Orr. I actually don't know where to start with.
For anything inspiring me from Mr. Way in his class, I remember there was one time where I think it was the end of the year, close to the end of the year, and it was 8th grade. We had this little assignment we had, and it was what we wanted to do or what inspired us personally or anything we did that, a hobby or anything that you find interesting.
One thing I remember that Mr. Sardi did for me back in middle school was we were taking one of those standardized tests, and I was in his classroom for those tests, and I was taking this section and I was super confused.
She was actually the best teacher. I hope no one gets jealous, but the best teacher in my years of middle school. She was my 6th grade English teacher, and I know it's like 6th grade, you don't really learn much, but she actually was the best teacher ever.
And you wrote a notebook and you kind of just handed it in as a personal thing. It stayed confidential with you and the teacher until the end of the week. And what we did is, we brought it up in class, we all were with each other, and Mr. Way would read each one out loud.
And I didn't really know how to react because this is one of our bigger tests that we were taking, and he kind of just took me and pulled me to the side and helped me figure out what to do and how to not overreact and things like that.
When I walked into her class, I didn't do the summer reading because in elementary school it was a choice for us. And she asked all the students where the summer reading was, and I go, we had summer reading, but she made me feel welcome and she gave me time to do it, and she was so loving and caring. It's amazing. I'm supposed to talk to her, right? Probably.
And so I remember him telling me about, when I grow up, he said he could fully imagine to my fullest extent, me doing anything I want to do, and that's what he said mostly for everybody, but it's a very inspirational moment, when one of your teachers or anyone of, higher authority or adult, tells you, your dreams can't come true. I mean, if you put your mind to it, you can really do whatever you want. And, he really solidified that with his comments.
I would like to say a big thank you to Mr. Sardi. Not only did you make my middle school experience memorable, but you gave me and my brother the nickname of Half and Full Nelson.
Mrs. Orr, you are the best teacher ever. I will never forget about you in my years of college, marriage. I don't even know. I'm just never gonna forget about you because you were that kind of teacher that just made everyone feel welcomed and made everyone just so comfortable in middle school. You are, I don't know, there's so many words. I keep repeating everything, but you are amazing, and I would not have wanted anyone else to be my 6th grade teacher other than you.
Well, one of the things I always remember is the times I had my little doodles on the board, and I'd leave them there before lunch because my period is right before lunch.
I remember that.
So, he'd come back from lunch and see my little doodles on there. Sometimes pentagrams, sorry, not sorry.
I promised you that one day I would take you into my limo, you and Allie Hogan and Alexa Rad, and that we would go to the club and party when I was older. So I promise I will still do that because after, how long has it been? 7 years? 4, 5, 6, 7. I will never forget about that promise that I made you, and I will always keep it.
Oh my gosh.
Mr. Way, My dude. I mean, you really kind of did inspire me with all music and everything. And, you know, I remember every time we were in class, all the music of the week, band of the week. And, hey, let me bring in a few bands sometimes, Megadeth, Metallica, for example. Let me bring in my guitar. Kind of like, you know, just help me kind of express
I remember
my
you brought in your guitar.
musical side, you could say. And, I mean, it really was a fun class. Even though, you know, sometimes work wasn't in on time, but, you know, it's school. Not every kid loves school. I mean, we're kids. We're kids. I'm an adult now. But no, I really did enjoy your class, and it really did make my 8th grade. It was my favorite class. I mean, and of all of 8th grade, you were my favorite teacher, so I'll give you that. And so overall, thank you. Thank you for being a cool teacher, and thank you for letting me express myself.
You mean our internet is slow? No, not ours.
All right, so Mr. Ayers, I really do miss you. You were like one of the best teachers at Schuyler. I'm now at Hills, and you taught me so much. Like, we had study hall, like you were the teacher, and I couldn't forget. You taught me so many things about like life in general, and I still use those lessons today. And I would just like to thank you, because you have done so much that like you don't even know like how much you have helped me and other students. Thank you, Mr. Ayers.
So how are you feeling?
I love my Sua. I love her. You know what? I can't explain how I feel.
Wow, that I was not expecting. Not at all. I don't remember the assignment, but I remember you and I talking a lot about music. I do remember when you brought in the guitar, and I do remember the conversations that we would have about bands and music and all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. That's so nice. You like tricked me.
Well, I just didn't
That-
tell you about it.
That's what makes, I think, teaching worth it. Like, I guess kind of like what Prail said, you don't realize, I guess, the fact that she would remember something like that. I don't know, that's awesome.
You know, as a teacher, you hope you have an impact on students. You want to, you try to, but unless somebody comes back and tells you that, you never know. They leave here and they're gone.
And that's why teachers do what they do. We don't do it for the summers off like everybody thinks. We don't do it for the money because we don't make that much money. We do it for that. We do it so that we can make a difference in a kid's life.
That's the kind of thing that kind of reassures and reaffirms most of us, I think I can speak for the rest of my colleagues, why we continue to do this in spite of the headaches and the nonsense and the people in political positions who think they can tell us what to do and how to do it and that kind of stuff. I don't want to get too political here, but no. So I thank you for that, and that means a lot to you, obviously, but it means a lot to me as well.
Any message for the seniors? Be open to new things. Keep trying your best. Get the best education you can. Even if you, like I, wait a little while to go to college, it's never too late. As I mentioned earlier, I was almost 20 years out of high school when I went to college because I knew after graduation it wasn't right for me. But it's never too late to go back. You can become anything you want to if you work hard and put your mind to it and do your best.
They're ready. They're ready to go out and make a difference in this world. They're ready. I'm so happy I was hopefully a small part of that and in preparing them for life and getting them out there to make a difference.
You probably heard this 1,000 times before, and you're going to hear this 1,000 times before you graduate high school. College is what you make of it, but there's some truth to that. You're on your own at this point, and you got to decide how you want end game to be. This is the time of your life where you're supposed to have fun, but don't make stupid decisions, because I've seen it way too many times where people make a decision in the moment and it comes back to bite them years later, and they hadn't even realized it, and they've completely screwed up their entire future, and it's not fun, and it's sad and it's heartbreaking to see these things happen. So have fun, but keep in mind there's an end result that you need to be thinking about, and what you do today can affect that years in the future.
Enjoy it. You know, this is your last year in high school. You guys are like gonna go away to college or get jobs as soon as you get out. For this year, just enjoy your friendships. Don't take it for granted. I feel like corny things like don't sweat the little things. You literally can do anything that you want right now, and just enjoy it. I think back of like where I was as a senior, and sometimes you think about things that you could have done and should have done. Don't shy away from like challenges just because you think you can't do something. Don't not apply to a school because you don't think you can't get in. Don't let anybody tell you what you can't do.